Welcome to the first battle report of Mass Brutality on my channel, featuring my Halfling Imperial Guard versus my Nighthaunt army. And there we have deployment. We're just doing the basic mission because it's the first battle report I've ever done. It's certainly not the first game I've ever done with this game, but it's the first one I'm ever televising, so it's just the normal 5 objectives down the center. They're going to scatter like normal. In the top right-hand corner, you can see 3 ambusher modules. Those are the Glaive Wraith Stalkers. And in the bottom right-hand corner, they're in reserve, by the way. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see those 3 Sentinels. They have heavy flamers, and they're each a 2 Pistolier modules. So they are in reserve. They're going to pop out somewhere and light something up. So let's get going. Alright, we scattered all the objectives. Turn 1. The marksmen right here all aimed and fired at the Mourngul. The Mourngul did not get cover because they have excellent shot. They managed to do 5 damage to the Mourngul, destroying a module and almost destroying a second, but they got no critical hits. So, the Mourngul is injured. I then activated my Spirit Torment, and he's a speeder and a fanatic. So he flew over there out of range of most of the Imperial Guard stuff, and a lot of stuff went on there. He got a lucky streak off. He healed the Mourngul. He's got Resurrect, so he was able to bring back the dead module. The Mourngul is now only missing 1 hit point. And when it's all said and done with his Fanatic abilities, the Spirit Torment has 1 time slip left and 2 protects. And the Mourngul has 2 time slips and 2 protects. So he acted as a serious buffer. Second activations. Our Punisher over here fired at the Hex Wraiths, and unfortunately they crit saved everything, so he didn't do a whole lot. Then we had our Mourngul all fired up with his time slips and his protects. He moved and ran and then used his time slip to successfully charge 10 inches, and he was only able to do 1 critical hit and 1 regular damage, and so it was only 2 damage off of the Chimera, but he did do a bleeding, so the Chimera is leaking hydraulic fluid or whatever, and he did win the combat. I chose not to let them disordered retreat, even though it would lose another module for the Chimera. I really would rather have my Mourngul in combat so he can't be shot. This activation saw the icon attached to the Rogel Dorn move up. The icon added a protect but critically failed one of the powers. The Rogel Dorn took some damage. It's a heavy range, so it aimed and ignored cover for the Black Coach. It dealt 3 unsaved damage, no crits, so they almost lost a module. The Black Coach is 2 cavalry and an icon. And then the Knight of Shrouds and his retinue came in. They had a pretty good charge, and they had an aura. They got an aura off, so they were able to do 2 modules dead, and a blinded, and an agony, which of course that could be the crew inside the tank, or it could be that the tank is malfunctioning in some way. But anyway, that is the score is currently 2-2. The Stormlord right here activated and did all the damage you'd expect him to do against this unit here. They lost 2 whole modules. They've got a panic, they've got -4 to their willpower, and they've got a confusion. He absolutely devastated them, but honestly, you kind of would expect it. Then our Glaive Wraith Stalkers there, they dropped down, they're ambushers, and they have resourceful, so they rolled 4 dice. 2 of them were 10s. We're not playing chaotic, so only 1 of the 10s activates, and scored them 2 points, bringing the score 4-4. But that guy came into the board, and he's the Wandering Monster, so we have to roll a 1 in melee against him or a 10 in ranged in order to kill him and score 2 victory points. He's going to be in our backfield and messing with us. The Chimera moved up, took pot shots at the Dreadscythe Harridans, and they saved it all. And then the Black Coach, knowing that monster is going to charge us in the rear arc, I just needed 1 critical hit. So the double cavalry and icon Black Coach charged into him. They only took 1 damage. They did lose a module, but it was only 1 damage and a confusion. But they did manage to kill it. So the Halflings got a point for the Black Coach losing a module, and the Black Coach, their team got 2 points for killing the monster. We just had an insane turn back here. Those two Sentinels, in addition to another one, they're each 2 module Pistoliers, and they've got Flamers. So they outflanked because they were in reserve, and came behind those Dreadscythe Harridans there, who were 6 modules. They fired into them in the rear arc and devastated them, gave them a panic token, a bunch of burning tokens, and destroyed 3 out of 6 of the modules for the Dreadscythe Harridans. So in response, the Wraiths that were over here did their lance move over the Sentinels, destroying almost two modules, but that was actually after the Banshee gave the Sentinels -2 to their save and double confused them. And then the Lancers lanced over them, almost destroyed 2 modules, and then charged from the rear arc and destroyed another 2 modules. So that one there is only at 1 module and the other one's at 2. And just really beat the crap out of these Sentinels. The Sentinels did fire back and didn't do a whole lot, although we got a bunch of burning tokens. But that was pretty impressive. The Sentinels destroyed 3 modules, and then the Hex Wraiths turned around and destroyed 3 modules themselves. And the next chance I get, I'm going to get those Dreadscythe Harridans to charge in the back of these Sentinels and hopefully clear them off. Things are not quite looking as good as they once were for the Imperial Guard. This Chimera lost a module because it is currently bleeding, leaking fluid, etc. And it did successfully retreat and fire at the Mourngul, who saved everything with his double protects and everything. The Dreadscythe Harridans failed. They had to use a time slip to pass their panic, but they turned around, took some damage from burning tokens, and charged the Sentinels in the rear, destroying all of the Sentinels. These Dreadscythe Harridans are berserkers, so they're getting an extra attack for every module in the target enemy unit. So each one of those 3 modules were getting 5 attacks each, and rear arc, so they were hitting on 8s. So it was quite disgusting. They lost a hit point, but really didn't matter, and now the score is currently 12-8 in favor of the Nighthaunt. Now, this unit had to get out of the transport now, because the transport is only 2 modules now, and there are 3 modules. So they got out. This little Voxcaster guy, I don't know if you can see him, he is a controller. So he's going to give orders. They got out. His unit repaired the bleeding on the Chimera, and they did not shoot. And this little guy gave an order to this big guy to fire on the Mourngul. Now, of course, he's not getting the benefit of aiming, and he's not getting his excellent shot. So the Mourngul was in full cover and also double protected and everything. So the Mourngul actually saved it all. He did take 1 lethal damage, which was an agony on the wound chart. So that's good. But that was all that happened here. These guys shockingly passed their panic token, but continued with their confusion token and scattered 4 inches forward. So that's not great, because now they are definitely in the sights of this guy. And for the final activation of this turn, turn 1, the Halfling Guard get out of the Chimera here along with the Commissar. And they activate this objective. They end up scoring 3 points, putting the score 12-12. The Tactician puts a 2 time slips on his unit, which is nice. And that... they did trigger a 10, which of course brought this Troll King back. So he's there, and at the end of the turn, he's going to activate. So he's about to activate right now. The Troll King was closest to the Punisher. He charged the Punisher and whiffed horribly on his 9 attacks. And the Punisher only took 1 damage unsaved because of shielding and a high save. And the Punisher was actually able to shoot and kill him and by rolling a crit in melee. And that scored them 2 points, putting the Imperial Guard up 14-12. Another wild turn of events. This Stormlord comes up here to the objective. Now, he was originally parked this way, And he activated it. He scored, I think, 5 points, but he did roll a 1, which scattered him 3 inches towards these guys. They were 6 inches apart, by the way. But then he free actioned to be able to shoot at them. And he did some damage. He destroyed, I think, 2 modules. So that was good. So he ended up scoring them something like 6 points this turn, giving them a huge lead. Then the Hex Wraiths right here, you'll notice they were all the way over there. They moved and ran and lanced and then charged. So they almost killed one of the modules on the lance. And then all of this combined firepower destroyed the rest of the modules in this unit on the rear arc charge. All except for this little commissar that is currently double cursed, double confused, blinded, and down to 1 hit point. So these guys have put in a lot of work. Okay, big turn for the marksman here. These marksmen aimed and fired at that guy right there. And he's the healer for the Nighthaunt army. He lost 2 hit points even despite having some time slips. And that's it. Nothing else much happened. But then when the Mourngul passed his agony and went to charge these guys, he moved up within line of sight and 12 inches of these guys, and they overwatched as a strategy. And they only did 1 damage to him, but they were able to crit the damage. And because they're marksmen, they chose Blinded. And Blinded, since he moved, they blinded him, and now he can make no more actions except to move, retreat, etc. until his next activation, and then his next activation is also lost. So, because they did this in the middle of his activation, they more or less ruined 2 turns, and now he can't charge because he is blinded. The next activation is the Chimera here. He was unengaged. He went over there, activated the objective, and scored 3 points. Then he free action shot at the Dreadscythe Harridans. They failed 1 save, but were able to time slip it. And that was it for them. Then, of course, our Stalkers here, Sepulchre Stalkers, or whatever they're called. I forget what they're called. They have Resourceful, so they rolled 4 dice instead of 3 to activate this objective and got 4 points. The score is currently 23 to 19 in favor of the Halfling Guard. Our next activation was the Controller and his, that's the rest of his unit right there. But they moved in, and he controlled the Chimera, fired at the Mourngul, and missed everything horribly. Then he put a Time Slip and a Protect on the Chimera, and then they embarked on the transport. Now, this is an open-top transport, so if I had a command token, they could also shoot out of it, but they couldn't do that. Then the final activation for this turn was the Spirit Torment. He moved from over here all the way to over there, and he brought back 4 hit points. He's got Resurrection, so he brought back 2 modules and gave them double Protect and 2 time slips as well. So he's got them all ready to probably charge into this. The Commissar that was right here tried to retreat, and they cut him down. He failed his willpower check. And then these guys, Knight of Shrouds and Retinue, activated again. And didn't do a whole lot of damage, did 1 lethal damage, but then also caused a bleeding. And the tank did nothing back to them. Next to activate is the Chimera. It backed up and took 2 shots at the Mourngul. It actually got a critical hit and a regular unsaved hit. So dealt 2 damage, scored a victory point, and gave -2 movement to the Mourngul. Meanwhile, the Black Coach over there activated, failed its confusion check, and then just scattered a couple inches. What a stupendous performance from this Punisher right here. He moved up, he has 6-inch ranged as well as 3 Shredder modules. He fired into the back of these Lancers, destroying 3 modules and doing 3 critical hits, which gave them 2 panic tokens. Double bleeding, disarmed, I mean, just completely shredded them and scored them 3 points. The Harridans did not get any damage from the burning tokens they had. They came over here and time slipped the charge, destroying 1 module and double bleeding on this Chimera. So if nobody staunches this bleeding, the Chimera will be dead when it next activates. And the Mirrormorns lost 1 module. So this current score is 28 to 21 in favor of the Halfling Guard. Next up, we activated the Rogel Dorn, which really couldn't do much. He was blinded this turn. The crew must be blinded. So they just stayed in combat and lost 2 hit points because of the bleeding. Luckily, the retinue didn't really do much to them in this melee. But you know who did do a lot of damage? A phenomenal job from these Grimghast Reapers. They're all buffed up with a double protect and 2 time slips from the character back there. They're healed up, he brought back 2 modules, etc. They flew over here and critically succeeded on the charge. And they rolled so darn good. Now keep in mind they're executioners, so any of their damage chart rolls are done twice. So not only did they get 3 critical hits, but they also have fangs and teeth, so that means that I chose to give the tank here 3 bleeding tokens, in addition to, of course, a panic for doing the 3 critical hits, and then all the other unsaved rolls that the tank made. Remember, this was a 6-module tank. It lost 3 modules, therefore it gets another panic token, and it was disarmed, and when they rolled their wound chart rolls, they did disarm and double 10s, so that was 4 more damage coming through. So this tank had 18 hit points when we started, and it has lost 13 hit points in this one melee. Now these guys have been shredded time and time again, but good golly, they did a fantastic job. This is actually the end of turn 2. After that fantastic showing by the Grimghast Reapers, the score is now 25 to 28, still in favor of the Halflings, but that might be changing. Alright, this activation is something a little wonky compared to most games happened. This controller right here in the Chimera, his unit aimed. He's got 2 basic ranged in himself. They aimed. He ordered the Chimera to jump this wall, which it did. And then they fired into the Glaive Stalkers, which did removed one of the modules and gave them a blinding. Then he controlled the Chimera to shoot into the back of the Mourngul here and removed another module, so that's excellent, and he's blinded this turn. Then as for the Nighthaunt, this guy moved and ran over here. He's a speeder and a fanatic. He healed the Black Coach of its confusion. He also healed one of their modules to full health, and he gave them a protect and a 2 time slips. Our next activation was this Punisher again, aiming and shooting in the rear arc. There should be 1 more panic token there, but he destroyed almost 2 more modules and just devastating them. -2 dex, -4 fight skill. They are definitely on their way out. We've got a lot of stuff that's in dire straits here. Then the Black Coach moved and ran. He's rerolling hits this turn. The Icon's rerolling willpower checks. And he cast another aura on the retinue there, and he cast double time slip on them. So he's getting them all ready, and they're all rerolling to hit now. This turn we had the Chimera shoot into the back of the Mourngul, killing it. And then these guys finished off the Rogel Dorn and the Icon. Alright, the marksman, the snipers went up there, and he was moved facing the other way earlier. And they staunched his leakage that he had that was going to kill him. And they fired into the retinue here, and they were able to destroy one of the modules there, which was nice. Then these guys just were blinded, so they moved around the other side of the wall to try to get some cover. And then we activated him because we had to. He panicked, and he fled towards the closest board edge, and did a disordered charge, so he had to take damage. He's almost dead. And then finally we activated the Hex Rates, and they bled and burned to death. The Harridans tried to score the objective, failed one of them, and scattered towards the tree. These guys bypassed the Stormlord and went straight into the Marksman, removing 3 of their modules and almost losing one themselves. So this is the end of turn 3. The score is 36 to 33 in favor of the Nighthaunt now. And to be honest with you, looking at this board coverage, I think the Nighthaunt are going to win. I don't think there's any way that they don't now, but we'll see how it turns out. Did you notice this guy popped up again? Well, it's because these guys had a fantastic turn. They hopped out, they activated the objective, then the controller ordered them to move. I free action, shooting into the back of them, killing a module, and they scored a bunch of points. But one of their objectives was a failure, and it produced this guy. Now, the next activation was his retinue. They moved and ran all the way over here to try to prevent this guy from moving so that this guy will just destroy him at the end of the turn. But with 1 hit point left, it's very likely. So, we'll see what happens, but they've already activated. They can't get away from this monster. So part of this revolves around whether or not I can pass my panic on this tank and somehow wiggle its way out. Well, with nothing better to do, the Stormlord activated. He shot into the guy with his one gun left. Nothing happened. He charged in a last-ditch effort, and here's the way I saw it. I might get lucky on my 2 attacks and roll a 1 to hit him in melee and kill him, right? I get the 2 points for that. Or, if he does die, then he's going to survive and he's going to go into them next. That's what I thought. So, shockingly enough, out of the 2 attacks, the Stormlord actually was able to roll a critical and destroy this guy. So they destroyed each other, but the Halflings got 2 points and the monster got 1 point. So that makes sense. Then the Black Coach moved over to the objective, scored 2 points. Then the Chimera over here shot at the Stalkers and dealt 2 damage, but nothing else. And then the character over there activated the objective, scored 2 points. And all we have left now is the... Actually, we're done, because the Harridans over there are just going to stand there. They're blinded. So, at the end of this game, who do you think won? Think real hard about it. The Nighthaunt won 43-41. Talk about a close freaking game. 43-41. And this whole time I was rooting for the Nighthaunt initially, because I was like, oh man, there's not a whole lot of line of sight blocking. There's a lot of tall Nighthaunt models, and none of these walls are very tall. So I knew that an all melee versus an all ranged army might have some difficulties, but they did pull it out. So 43-41, a 2-point difference. That's crazy. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will be making more of these, either with Mass Brutality or Brutal Epic or Brutal Space or regular Brutality, any of those. I've really wanted to do a solo campaign with the settlement mode and film it. I don't know if I'll do that or not, but anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out everything at BrutalitySkirmishWarGame.com, and I will see you guys later.